Welcome back, Gary Pony. When we last left off, the 23 ponies responsible for hurting Inverno were made to see that he was simply a child and not a monster like the rumors say. Happily, they all see that. Now, it's unknown how much time has passed since then, or if it's even within the same day, but it seems like we get to see how Inverno is doing. And who gets to talk to him? Well, I'm glad things get to progress the way they do. Inverno in F minor. Written by Cracked Inkwell. Chapter 32. Starting over in B major. Prince Shining walked into the infirmary. He didn't have to ask where Inverno was since he was the only one with the curtains drawn. He walked up to the bed and said,
"Hey, kid."
"What do you want?"
Inverno moaned. Shining went to draw one of the curtains back and got a good look at the state the colt was in. Where bandages didn't cover, he found black and blue bruises that dotted his body. Inverno rolled over on his back, but not without giving a painful whine.
"Hey, take it easy."
"What do you want?"
Inverno asked again in an annoying tone.
"Look, I know that I'm the last pony you probably wanted to see."
The prince began, but was cut off as Inverno's horn lit up, drawing the curtains back.
"I don't. Now go away."
Shining forced the curtains back open.
"Just listen for a sec, okay? Look, I know you're having a bad time here. And yeah, what some of our citizens have done was a bit uncalled for."
Inverno sat up.
"Uncalled for? Those animals nearly killed me."
"But they did that out of ignorance. They didn't know that what they were doing back there was wrong."
The young unicorn narrowed his eyes.
"You know, I've been wondering for a long time why Papa had done all those horrible things to them. I couldn't figure out why he would hurt those crystal ponies, but after what they did to me, I think I get it."
For a moment, as the colt slumped down on the bed, Shining sighed.
"Look, Inverno."
The young unicorn turned to him.
"You can't just write off an entire group of ponies from one bad experience. Granted, what happened to you was both cruel and unfair, but that doesn't mean that you had to be like that to them back." "Look, my dad told me once, you can't understand another pony unless you try to imagine their point of view. Walk around their horseshoes for a bit. Try to see why they do what they do. I guess it's something that even I'm still learning."
"But why did they do that?"
Inverno asked.
"I didn't do anything to them. Heck, all I wanted was to see what it was like outside of the palace. I wanted to know what that green stuff was, what those ponies do, and the music was the best of all. That's all I want. It's all I've ever wanted, and the professor gave that to me. But what do I end up getting? A beating for stepping outside.
Here, the pale unicorn began to tear up.
It's not fair. I wanted to give him something to apologize for what Papa had done. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be free. I wanted them to see me other than an animal. It's not fair. It's not fair at all."
Shining sighed, picking up a corner of Inverno's blanket with his magic, and wiped away his tears.
"In a way, you're right. Truth be told, neither of us has any idea what we're doing. On the one hoof, we're trying to keep you safe from harm. On the other, however, the professor did have a point. You're still a kid, and kids need a little bit of freedom. I guess something that I honestly have no idea how to give."
Inverno sniffed.
"I wish you could have told me that earlier."
"Perhaps. I mean, I have dealt with a baby sister before. Twily was always a difficult pony to handle.
And me?
Well, I guess it's a little trickier to relate to.
Why? Is it because of my eyes?
The prince hesitated before answering.
In a way, you really do have your dad's eyes, but at the same time, you're surprisingly not as cruel as him. Which I guess it's considered a good thing. But it's harder to relate to because we have completely different interests. You're obsessed with music, and I'm with military strategy, and a few nerdy things here and there.
Well, couldn't you at least have tried?
The young unicorn asked.
At least Professor Key was trying to get to know me and a little bit from Cadence.
Shining nodded.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to start over.
He tilted his head.
Start over?
I mean, just pretend that we're meeting again for the first time. To start it all again from scratch.
Inverno looked over to the side and thought. After a minute, he lifted a bruised hoof up to him.
Hello. I'm Inverno. Who are you?
Smiling, Shining shook the colt's hoof.
Prince Shining Armor. Or just Shining.
Hey, Shining.
Inverno said, cracking a smile.
Say, do you know what's gonna happen to the professor? Is he still gonna teach me?
Do you really want him to?
The prince asked.
He pretty much messed up a lot today.
But he didn't mean to. I wanted to see what it was like outside. Plus, I guess he's a good teacher, and he took me out as an apology for tearing up my music. So please, don't make him leave.
I will talk with Kate tonight, so we'll see what to do with him. Perhaps we might give him another chance, but we need to talk it out before we could settle on anything.
Oh.
And there was an awkward silence for a moment. Shining tried to figure out what to talk about next when a question came to his mind.
So, why music?
Huh?
I mean, why do you have this fascination with music?
Oh.
Inverno thought for a moment.
Tell me, what does music do?
Shining tilted his head.
What does it do? Well, I guess it helps uplift your spirits?
The colt snorted.
That's stupid. If you hear some dancing music, what do?
Dance?
And when you hear a march, what do?
March?
And if you hear coronation music?
Well, Your Honor, those who ascend to power.
Inverno nodded.
That is what Papa has told me. Music, my son, he told me, is powerful because once you hear good music, it can make you do things that magic can't explain. Those who listen don't have a choice but to be taken under the spell of the composer. It keeps order and tells ponies in how to behave. But for me, I don't need to look at art because whenever music is playing, I can see it change and move. And since I can see it, I can know how to make it perfect, to make it more clearer.
You are one strange little colt.
The prince commented. And this concludes chapter 32 to Inverno in F minor. As I stated earlier, Evie Pony, I'm happy things progressed the way they were. If you recall, much earlier in the story, Shining was not too keen on Inverno, mostly because of his appearance. But as we see here, he's gotten a chance to get to talk to Inverno and ask for a chance to start over. I'm glad that Shining is giving this a chance to get to know the child, and also knows that he's not as bad as he originally considered him to be. Granted, that mostly was, I believe, because of how volatile Inverno's emotions were. The slightest thing would set him off, and music was the only thing to calm him down. But it's nice to see that Shining understands that Inverno is only a child, And given everything, he definitely did not deserve what he went through. And asking for the chance to start over is simply a bonus. So now things may progress a lot more smoothly for this. I wish to say the word family, if it's not too presumptuous. Because in a sense, Inverno, Cadence, and Shining do seem like the beginnings of a beautiful family.